Good evening. Welcome to the Futbol Fetish podcast. Today is June 16th, and with the Premier League returning to action tomorrow with two great games, I thought it would be a perfect time to start up this podcast/YouTube channel to talk a little bit about all the action. Just a little bit about me. I am an American Arsenal fan, and I know most of you probably just threw up a little bit in your mouths hearing that, but I promise you I didn't choose the club I support by having them be the first name on FIFA. I've been following the EPL religiously for 10 plus years now, and I would say that it's a borderline fetish. I know this is probably more of an American perspective, but there is no better way to start your weekend morning than by waking up at the crack of dawn, brewing a pot of coffee, and just sitting back, relaxing, and watching all of the games. So for today's show, I wanted to start off by just talking about what the expectations are for Arsenal for the rest of the season. We have 10 games to be played, and despite being all the way back in 9th place, we find ourselves only 5 points outside of the Champions League qualification spot, assuming that Man City's whole little spanking from UEFA suspension will hold. No game is easy in the Premier League, we all know that, but of our remaining 10 games, we have 5 that I would consider to be very winnable. We go against Brighton, Southampton, Norwich, Aston Villa, and Watford, and we have 5 games where points are going to be hard to come by, playing City, Wolves, Leicester, Tottenham, and Liverpool. So things are definitely not going to be easy for Arsenal, but there's a lot of football to be played, and there's a lot on the line. Personally, I'm really curious to see how Arteta is going to approach the remaining 10 games. Is he going to go a win at all costs, sprint to the finish line type approach, where we just do everything we can to get as many points as possible, or is he going to go for a more holistic approach where he's still evaluating his squad, he's still a brand new manager, he's got high expectations and a lot of big decisions to be made in the summer? After such a lengthy holdout in the middle of the season, I think it's safe to assume that fitness is going to be down across the board, and with the Premier League allowing for 5 subs per game to reduce the chance of injuries, it makes sense that the squad will be heavily rotated and there's going to be a lot of minutes to go around. With that being said, I'm hoping that some of the lineup and personnel decisions will give us some insight into what Arteta's thinking for the summer. Lacazette and Aubameyang both only have 1 year left on their current deals after this season, and with that, of course, comes a lot of media speculation linking them with moves away from the club. The Arsenal board has spoken in the not-so-distant past about not allowing players to wind down their contracts, much like Ozil, Sanchez, Ramsey, as it puts us in such a poor stance to negotiate with our own players or, in turn, sell them and make a good profit from it. It'll be interesting to see if these ongoing discussions will have any effect on the team selection. The likes of Martinelli, Saka, and to a lesser extent Reiss Nelson have shown a lot of quality this year, and that opens up the door for potentially one of our strikers to leave. Lacazette has been far from his best this season, and with Aubameyang being such a consistent goal scorer for us, it's hard to imagine us allowing him to leave. But it was only 1 year ago that Lacazette was lights out and was our player of the season, so recency bias probably is having a bit of an effect on our thought process there. The next area of the pitch where I believe Arteta's team selection will give us some insight as to what he's thinking is the midfield. Our current crop of midfielders is Xhaka, Torreira, and Guendouzi, who all have contracts that expire in 2023, Ceballos, who is in on loan, and Mesut Ozil in a more attacking role, whose contract runs up in 2021. I have mixed feelings about all of our midfielders, and I think it's fair to say that none have really locked down a place in the team, but it will be interesting to see which players Arteta thinks give us the best chance to win. I would have liked to seen a little more Dani Ceballos in the run-in here. He's made some comments about not really knowing what his place is in the team for now, but advanced statistics have shown that his pressing is phenomenal, and he's shown some flashes of brilliance for us this year in his limited opportunities. Overall, I'd really like to see us show some unity here at the end of the season and come together to at least make a strong push for Champions League qualification. Moving on from rest of season expectations for Arsenal, I'd now like to preview the upcoming game with City a little bit. Arteta being the Man City assistant manager only a few short months ago should give him some ideas on how to best break down his former side, and the mentor versus mentee dynamic he has with Pep should give an entertaining side story. We have the two polar opposites in terms of hair. Pep is a bald fraud. Arteta never has a hair out of place. I'm interested to see how that plays out in the match. Predicting a lineup is going to be hard because we have no idea who is fit and to what extent, but the lineup I'd like to see speculatively is Leno at goalkeeper, back four of Saka, Luiz, Mustafi, Bellerin, midfield three of Xhaka, Torreira, Ozil, and a front three of Aubameyang out on the left, Laka up top, and Pepe out on the right. City are obviously the better team on paper, but they have struggled this year a little bit with teams that can stay organized defensively and strike on the counter. Wolves, Tottenham, and United have all put a blueprint out there on how to beat City. Predicting anything is going to be difficult at this point due to the league shutdown and all the uncertainty that comes along with that, but I will say that the Arsenal moneyline is an interesting bet, to say the least, at plus 700. Other slightly less risky bets that I like are City to win and both teams to score, and Aguero to score at any time. Arsenal have shown greatly improved defensive organization since Arteta took over, but slowing down De Bruyne, Sterling, Bernardo, Aguero is going to be a nightmare. Anyways, even if we go out there and get thrashed 3-0, I couldn't be happier that Premier League is back. I'm stoked out of my mind, and I'm just excited to watch all the games. If you are still listening, mahalo to you, much gratitude. Please like and subscribe, and if you disagree with anything, agree with anything I said, comment in the bottom.